If you're feeling like you're distracted from what really matters in life, you want more time with your loved ones and not more hyperconsumption, and that maybe somehow the goalpost on what is enough keeps on moving for you, meaning that you're always chasing a higher and higher revenue number, then this is for you. I knew that a beautiful, unhurried life rooted in contentment and time with those I love was my goal, but somehow that wasn't happening. Maybe your husband has also commented that your spending seems a little bit much, and maybe somehow, why is there another Amazon package landing on the doorstep every single day? And you know you want to change, but you don't know how. Then this interview with Nancy about her contentment challenge will be life-changing for you. We are also going to speak about how she runs a business while being a very present mom to her 4 little ones, advice for parents on how to manage both work and family life, and how to plan for maternity leave from someone who has had 4 maternity leaves as an entrepreneur. I love Nancy's podcast, and I did her contentment challenge a few years ago, and at the end of it, I felt less rushed, less stressed, more present, and more aware of what really matters in my life. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Nancy Ray. Welcome, Nancy. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Paige. I'm excited.
Thank you. Okay, let's start off with, could you please explain what is your contentment challenge? But before you tell me about what it is, could you also explain what was happening in your life which showed you that you needed a change and that the challenge was a necessity?
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. And it's been a little bit since I have. And so this is like a good jog down memory lane for me. So my husband and I, my husband's name is Will, when we were engaged to be married, we got hold of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And I came up in a very wealthy family and was like a free spirit spender. I spent money on everything. And he was brought up in like a very hardworking family, but he knew like the value of a dollar. He had been working since he was in high school, like mowing lawns and doing all kinds of things. When we got married, it was very crucial for us to have this course because we were coming from 2 totally opposite ends of the spectrum. We got married, took this course, and we're like, okay, we need to be on the same page about money. And we dove in. We're so thankful for that course. This is not like an endorsement, but honestly, it like changed our marriage and our lives. Like it was really, really helpful for us. And if you're not familiar with it, Dave lays out 7 baby steps. So there's like, you get quick $1,000 in the bank as quick as you can. And then baby step number 2 is like you pay off all your debt using the debt snowball, and on and on and on. He gives you like markers to hit for your finances. Baby step 6, fast forwarding a little bit, is paying off your house. And baby step 7 is live like no one else and give like no one else. So basically you're completely out of debt, including your house. All you need to do at that point is like save money and give money and enjoy. And that's like the goal, right? Is to get to baby step 7. So we were bullish about this, Paige. Will and I were like, oh, okay, we are all in. And now this was not without tears. I definitely cried a lot as I like had to learn to live on a budget and not get everything that I wanted all the time. And, but one of the principles is like, okay, well, if you want to win with money, you have to live on less than you make, right? You have to have that extra cushion so you can pay off debt and you can save and do these things. So we started living really tightly, like right when we were married. And a few years in, the same year we got married, I started my photography business, and he was working as a manager at Walgreens. And we decided, okay, we're going to live on his salary, even on less than his salary. And anything that I make in my photography business, we're going to use just to put on debt. So fast forward a few years, we buy our first townhouse. I think it's like 2.5 years into marriage. We had saved like a pretty good down payment for it. And we're like completely out of debt. We just get completely on fire to pay off our house. So by the time we were 25 and 26 years old, we had paid off our house. And this was a very affordable house, but it's pretty rare that you would pay off your house at 25 and 26. And I tell you what, we sacrificed to get there. We lived on like nothing. We never went out to eat. We were so passionate about hitting this goal. It really did amazing things for our marriage, having this like joint goal together. And we were like weird, like according to our friends and family, like we were living in a way that was just kind of weird, but we did it. And so we get there. We're so excited, so proud. We hit baby step 7. And I think what happened in my mind is that this like switch happened, and I'm like, okay, we made it. Like I can spend money on whatever I want to, and I can go shopping at Whole Foods now for my groceries, and I can go to Target and Anthropologie and whatever and buy clothes now because I have not had like a clothing budget. And what happened right after we hit baby step 7, Paige? I started overspending on the budget in like every category. And Will and I, for the first time in our marriage, started like fighting about money. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, we're on baby step 7. He's like, that doesn't mean that we get to buy everything. I'm like, well, I know, but I've been living so tight for so long. I thought that it would be like, you know, a reward and I'd get to live how I wanted to live. And I quickly learned that there was still a finite amount of money that we were making and I couldn't live like that. And I had this kind of like internal battle. Like, I am mad. Like, we're here. But I thought it would be this way, but it's not this way. And like, you know, we got our house payment that we didn't have to pay, but that's only so much money. I couldn't like spend everything. And God started working on my heart. So I'm a Christian, and a lot of this comes from kind of a spiritual perspective because it really is like part of my walk with God, where this contentment challenge came from. And so I went to this conference, and it was like a business conference, but he just started working on my heart. And I just felt like I heard this like, not like the voice of God, but I just had this idea kind of pop into my head that I needed to give up shopping for 3 months. Okay. And I was like, no, I'm not giving up shopping for 3 months. Like, this is not what I worked so hard for. And the idea just kind of kept coming back. And I really just felt like it was God just kind of like putting that on my heart. Like, hey, you know what? Happiness is not found in spending stuff and getting stuff and living however you want, like at the expense of your marriage. Like, that's not happiness. And happiness actually, and real joy and contentment is actually found living within boundaries and having your focus on the right things. And I really resisted that feeling. The first thing I resisted was the time frame. 3 months? Are you kidding? Like, I don't know. 3 months is way too long. Like, okay, how about 2 weeks or like maybe at the most a month, you know? And this like conference I was at lasted for 2 days. And I remember the first day I was like, I'll do it a month. And I was kind of mad about it. And then it was like, God was just saying, it's got to be 3 months. And looking back, I'm so glad that it was. And I'll talk about how significant it was to do it for 3 months. But by the end of the conference, I was just like, okay, Lord, like, I hear you and I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to obey this kind of prompting that I feel, and I'm going to give up shopping for 3 months. And it's not, you don't give up shopping on like food or like things or like gas money for your car. Like, you always buy the necessities, but I'm talking about, you know, Amazon, Target, Anthropologie, like all the fun things that I was just kind of spending on like needlessly, that kind of shopping. And it changed my life, Paige. It really changed my life and my perspective forever. And I'm certainly not perfect, but that's kind of how the contentment challenge was born. And I have done it every year since then for the last 10 years. This was 10 years ago that happened. And so for the first 3 months, I think I skipped 1 year when I had like a baby around that time. But it's like a heart check that I do kind of every year to make sure that my focus is on the right things.
I love that so much. Okay, can you tell me, if someone's watching this and they're thinking, ooh, sounds good, I might want to do it. What are the rules, or like how does someone do the contentment challenge exactly?
Yeah, so the rules that I kind of live by, the first time I did it, is 3 months of no extra spending. You can, like I said, you can buy necessities. Please spend money if you break your glasses and need a new pair of glasses. Like, you know, like if your car breaks down, please get your car repaired. All the things that you need to function in life, do those things. That's great. But you know the things that are like weak spots. It's, you know, home decor, clothing that you don't really need, but that you maybe tend to justify a lot of times. Those kind of things. And so you just don't spend money on those things for 3 months. And instead, you replace that with experiences and relationships and getting creative with the things that you already have. So throughout the contentment challenge, I have like challenges that you can do once a week. And one of those is like shopping your own closet. getting rid of a lot of the clothes that you don't wear and creating new outfits with the ones that you already have. Same thing with your house, doing like a house refresh, digging through any old decor that you have, bringing that back out, rearranging things. And it's amazing what you can do with the things that you already have. And it just gives you eyes to see like all that you have to be grateful for. But those are the parameters of it. 3 months of no extra spending with a focus on what you have and the relationships and experiences in your life.
I love that. Okay, so I can say I have done this and I thought it was fantastic. It was a very interesting, eye-opening experience. I will link for everyone below. You have details on your website about it, so if anyone wants more like kind of, written information about it, I'll put that in the links in the description. Okay, then can you tell me about what difference did you see? So you did the challenge, after the challenge, what was different about your life? What did you notice about how you were spending your time in the challenge months? And also when you were shopping afterwards, were you sort of thinking at all differently, if that makes sense?
Yes. Okay, the first thing I noticed when I did this was how many emails I get from stores giving me ads, how much I saw. Because the first thing I did after noticing this in my inbox was like, I got to unsubscribe from all these stores. Like, this is not good for me to constantly see these new things that they are dropping in their stores. So I unsubscribed from all of them. Anthropologie, J. Crew, Target, whatever. I just was like, I can't see these things, these new fancy shiny things. I also noticed that I would really spend unnecessary amounts of time just kind of dropping by stores and places that I liked, just because, and I would waste like an hour here, 30 minutes there, because when I cut that out and was like, I'm not gonna do that, I wouldn't just like pull in to Anthropologie, or like I wouldn't, like if I'm out that way, because Anthropologie's not near me, I would always kind of like make a stop by there. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I just saved myself like an hour of time. I stopped grocery shopping at Target at that point because I realized that my grocery shopping needed to be at a grocery store, because my groceries at Target were not just groceries. I would always add like a few extra things to the cart. So those were like little habits that I noticed. But like the bigger thing, I think, is I saw this part of myself in my mind and my heart that was always looking for material things to like satisfy me on a daily basis. And once I stopped that, I got really clear, like, oh, this is not really the kind of person that I want to be. Like, I want to be someone who looks to God to get my satisfaction, who really focuses on being content and happy in my home, no matter what home that is. Who looks to the relationships in my life, like my relationship with my husband, and now my relationship with my kids and friends. Like, those are the things that really fill me up. And I was constantly chasing. And I mean, we are just marketed to all the time, and we don't realize how much we are marketed to. And our minds are just like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I want that. And even on Instagram, right? Like, there's so many ads that are served to you all the time. It's just a really good heart check more than anything to be like, who is the kind of person I want to be? And am I living that out in my daily life? And the first month for me was kind of ugly. It was like, I struggled. Like, I really struggled, kind of realizing that this is almost an addiction in my life. And it's not like big. I didn't spend like crazy, but it just was always looking for that something new. And then by month 2, I was like, okay, this feels different, but I'm getting settled here. And month 3 was really when I felt like I had a really big breakthrough of like, this is the kind of life that I want to live. Like, I am riding my bike. Like, when is the last time I've ridden a bike? And I'm like knitting or, doing different things that are crafty that I haven't done in ages. And it's because of the space that I cleared out of my life just from shopping, which is so embarrassing to admit on the internet, but also it's just real because that's the life that we live now. Like, we're being inundated with so many things that we have to have all the time. It's just not true.
I think it's so true. And I wouldn't even say embarrassed to say it on the internet. Like, I relate. I'm sure literally everyone who is watching this probably relates to that as well. Like, I think it's so common. And I noticed the same thing. The reason that I decided to do it the first time was my husband. We had bought a new house, moved into this house. When you move into a house, you need a bunch of things. And so there was literally an Amazon package on our door every single day. Right. And my husband, he had to take, so in Germany, you had to take the cardboard and you had to go take it to the dump yourself. So you really, and his job was garbage. So he had to take all the cardboard from all these purchases. And he was getting so like, honey, I mean, really, like, it's every day. Like, I don't think this is good. And also, this is an unbelievable amount of cardboard and garbage. Like, it's really not great. And so that's what made me be like, maybe I should try it. And it was really fantastic. And I'm going to do it again this year. I decided that when this episode's goes live, that's when I'm going to do it again for another 3 months. So,
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, it really is amazing. I thought it was like a one and done thing for me. I was like, okay, yes, that is it. But I had such a huge response from people saying like, I need to do this. I don't know that I can do it. Or like, I'm scared. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was scared too, because you have to really like kind of look deep in yourself and be like, oh, can I do this? Yeah. What are the parameters I have to set in my life to be able to do this successfully? But I got such a huge response from other people throughout that year trying it, saying like, I can't even tell you how much this meant to me in my life. And like, it helped our marriage. It helped our budget. It helped me, just my heart, like really draw close to God and say like, God, I really want you more than anything. I don't need all this stuff. And I'm like, that's the whole purpose of it for me. Is it's not, it is like, yes, it's helpful and healthy to put a pause on the spending for like every household, but it's like a spiritual thing for me, because I'm like, I need this heart check. I need to look around and be like, you have blessed me so much, Lord. Like, there's so many things in my home and around me that I have to be thankful for. And I live in this cycle of like, I need this, I need that, I want this, I want that. And it's like, sometimes you have to do something drastic to just break that cycle and be like, no, there's so much goodness around me and so much to be thankful for. And for me, the contentment challenge did that. And that's why I just keep coming back to it every year. It's so powerful for me.
Love that. Amazing. Okay. Changing gears slightly.
Yes.
You decided to close up shop on your very successful photography business in 2019. And since then, you've run a podcast and you've worked just 1 day a week. Tell me about the desire to close down the photography business. What was behind it and why did it feel like the right move?
Oh, yeah. That's a big question. I will try to be concise with this story, but it is an amazing story. So, a little bit of context. First, so I had a photography business for 12 years, weddings, some families as well. The first 5 years, it was just me and my husband. And then I started hiring. So I built a team of photographers. We served like the Southeast doing weddings, families. It was me and 3 other ladies plus like 3 interns a year. And it just kept growing. I mean, it was doing great. And I loved it. While I had my photography business, I started having babies, and I had 4 babies in 6 years. And now at the time of this recording, their ages 2, 4, 6, and 8. They're so sweet, so fun. But I had my first baby, and then 2.5 years later, had my second baby. And then very quickly, when my second was like 8 months old, got pregnant with my third. Very surprising. And, at that point, my husband and I went to this, like couples retreat, like a marriage retreat, and newly pregnant. I'm like overwhelmed, running this business. You know, he's got his work that he's doing. And at this retreat, like the question is given to us, like, when is the last time that you've just kind of like gone back to neutral before the Lord and just said like, here is my life. What would you have me do with it? And I immediately just started crying. Like it just like was one of those moments where I was like, okay, that scares me to ask that question. And also I need to ask this question, because I'm the kind of person that just like sees something, I like go for it. And I just had been on this, like, I don't know, just like I'm going. And that kind of started this year-long journey for me of just praying and asking God to like help lead me in my work, in my business. And I was introduced to Richard Blackaby. He has this book called Seasons of God. And my husband actually heard him at a different conference and came back and told me what he said. And I just like wept. I'm like growing my belly, about to have this baby, you know. But he said that a lot of times businesses, well, life in general reflects seasons. Okay. There's like springtime when everything is like new. And then there's summer when you're just like grinding and working so hard and like just crushing it. And Then there's like fall and harvest where you're really enjoying the fruits of your labor. And then there's winter. And that you can kind of see that in like the arc of life. Like when you're a child, spring, you know, summer is like just when you're working really hard and, you know, maybe building businesses or raising kids and just doing the work of life. And then harvest is when you get to see the fruit of all that labor. And then winter is kind of towards the end of your life. But there's also seasons to things in life. And one of the things that Richard Blackaby said at this conference was there are seasons to businesses. And I was like, I never heard that before. And he kind of explains like sometimes a business, you know, when you're new in your business, you're green, you're excited, you're learning everything. And then there's summer, and that's when you're just putting in like a lot of the hard work. And then there's harvest, you're seeing so much of the fruit of your labor. And then there's winter, and that's when you can kind of close down the business. And that can mean just closing it down. That can mean selling it to someone else. That can look a lot of different ways, but it's very rare that people that keep a business alive forever, or that you're in the same role in your business forever. And after just praying throughout that year and really trying to listen to God's voice, and then hearing like this kind of example shared about like, hey, it's actually normal and natural for you to like kind of close down a business. And I just was feeling very burnout at the time and very tired and about to have a third baby, very overwhelmed at the prospect of running the business and having 3 kids and all that. It just like clicked. And I was like, I think we need to close it. And it was so hard. It was so hard to make that decision because it was doing so well. My business was a source of joy for me, and it was doing really, really well. But I just knew in my heart, like, this is just the time. And so because of weddings and the nature of weddings, we had, you know, clients booked out for the next year and a half. But we went ahead and targeted like 2019 as the end of my business. So I had the baby, my third, my little boy, in 2018. And then we spent 2019 kind of closing the chapter of Nancy Ray Photography. And oh my goodness, right before COVID, we closed it down. We dodged a huge bullet with that because weddings were just so crazy the year 2020. Like they were all canceled and it was wild and crazy. But at that point, I just felt I did feel sadness. I like grieved the closing of it because I had spent so many years of my life giving to it. But then I felt this relief, and I was just so grateful to not have to be gone on the weekends now that I had like these little kids at home and not having to arrange childcare all the time. Like I just really brought that back and only have childcare like 1 day a week so that I could do my podcast, something that's more fulfilling for me. And it just matched the season of my life as a mom of 3 little kids. Like it felt right. And I'm so grateful because obviously 2020, 2021, it was just very unpredictable. And I was so thankful just to have the flexibility there. So that's kind of the long story. Sorry, I tried to keep that short. It's impossible for me to keep that story short because there's just a lot to it. But I think the bottom line is there's just seasons to life and seasons to business. And I think the sooner we can embrace that and know that, the happier we'll be.
Can you tell me, as you saw that happening, what were you thinking and what were you saying to God in that time?
Yeah. Oh, man. What were we all saying to God at that time? Like, what is happening? I don't know. Like, this is nuts. I think 2020 is interesting because it was, obviously the world got like flipped upside down and none of us knew what was happening. But I had this like immense sense of relief. Like, I'm so thankful that I don't have to deal with the weddings and the clients and the contracts that like all my friends who are photographers were dealing with. And I just felt relief that like my focus could be home, like just kind of making sure that my kids were just kind of stable and good and taken care of. And they were really little, so we didn't really have to deal with a ton of like schooling from online or any of that, you know. But yeah, I was just grateful. I felt relieved. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Lucky, and also great that you had listened to that, you know, God gave it that message to you at the right time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good. The other thing which I was just curious about, you didn't sell the business. Had you thought about selling the business at all, or what made just deciding to close it feel like the right decision?
Yeah. Okay, so my business was branded as Nancy Ray Photography.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody knew it as that. So I just felt like I can't really sell this because it's kind of attached to my name. However, one of the girls who worked with me became a wedding photographer. And I did like a very small kind of transaction with her where she could just get all of the clients, and then any of the new clients that came in, I would just like push them to her. but it just felt peaceful and right just to be kind of done, because I didn't really feel like I could sell something with my name all over it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, learned that lesson myself too.
Yep.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to a personal brand.
There totally are. Yeah, there are.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, coming back to this theme of enough. I would imagine closing down the photography business has an impact on your family finances. A lot of people wouldn't be in the place to even have that decision be an option because their expenses are just to the point where they need both incomes. But you and your husband have spoken a lot about Dave Ramsey and budgeting. And can you talk about your sort of family philosophy on budgeting and finances and how that even gave you the option to close the business down?
Yeah, well, going back to kind of the beginning of this episode, like that really long intro I gave, circling back to that of us always just trying to live on one income, paying off our house at an early age, like that has really set us up in such a way that we've had the flexibility to do that. And it's fun to look back at our marriage and see how we kind of have like leaned back and forth in supporting each other. And so in the beginning, he was working at Walgreens and I wasn't making any money. So he was like the income in our family. And then as my photography business grew, we were able to pay off our house and then get the financial freedom for him to step away. He then became a youth pastor, and then he stepped away from that to start his own business. So I supported us for a little while he started his own business. And now he's continuing to grow. He ended up joining a different team. He's growing that now. It's amazing. And he loves what he does. And now as I've stepped back, he's supporting us again. So it's like, I think just starting out with this mentality of living on less than you make, trying to live on one income if you can, gives you the flexibility. And I know not everyone's in that position. If you're watching this, you're like, great, well, I wish I had done that when I first got married, or I wish, that we could do that now, but I'm like locked in now. I do think that there are lifestyle choices that go with the income that you can make or change to get to that place. And also I just want to encourage you, like, it's just never too late. Like, it's never too late to start on that journey or do something different. It'll look different and feel different than the way you've lived. And sometimes that can be hard, but it's just a short time of sacrifice for a really long-term goal that will benefit you the rest of your life. So yeah, I think that has been like such a blessing. Again, I'm like so thankful we followed that plan from an early time, because financially it has allowed us to kind of move and change our path career-wise as we've grown and seasons of our lives have changed.
That's wonderful. That's good. Can you also talk to me about what does your business look like now exactly? So you are a mom to 4 little ones.
Yeah.
And so I think when you decided, okay, closing down the photography business, gonna take some time off, and then you decide to start something else, can you talk about how did you design it in a way where you're like, okay, this is gonna work with my life of being a mom to 4 little children? What were sort of the like decisions that you made in maybe a different way than you would have when you were starting a business in your 20s, for example?
Yes. So I've just like thrown spaghetti against the wall, and I've just tried different things and seen what I like. And then now looking ahead towards 2024, as I'm like planning for next year, I'm taking a ton of time just like reflecting on the things that really brought me joy, the things that really felt burdensome to me, and really get serious about asking myself, what are the ways that this business and the work I'm doing, how is this serving my family? Is it bringing me joy? Like collectively, is it worth continuing? And if so, what are the key points that I really want to continue and why? So I'm excited to see kind of what comes out of 2024, because I've tried some things in this last year that like I haven't loved, some other things that I have. And then, yeah, I'm just going to kind of go from there and try to like recreate things and make it really lean and streamlined and joyful. That is my goal.
That's great. Do you have any inklings or gut feelings already about what you're like, ooh, want to add that, or might drop that?
I think, so I tried a mastermind for the first time, and it has been so great getting to know the ladies in it, but it has become clear to me that I really love like one-on-one stuff a lot more than group stuff. So it was a really great learning experience for me, but I think I've decided I'm not going to do that anymore. So that's going to be dropped. I do get a lot of joy from my podcast, so I'm going to try to keep that going in some capacity. But I think I'm also going to try to batch it so that I can take like a huge amount of time off next year while keeping that going. I definitely want to just be like full on mom during the summer. I don't want to have to work. I don't have to do anything. So I kind of want to like plan ahead and have these little like spurts of really intense work, maybe just aligned with the school year with my kids, and then just be able to completely like take off. And on the back end of my business, I'm streamlining so much and cutting so many expenses. I just want it to be so simple. And I think that's just going to be really good for me and where I'm at, so that if I need to just stop for a little while, I can. If I have a new creative idea that I want to implement, it can be like easy and I can do it. Yeah. And I'm thinking of restructuring some of my courses and putting them out there in a way that's kind of new, but I haven't totally landed on how yet. I'm excited about it though.
Really excited. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, good. A lot of moms watch this. Can you give advice on thinking back, especially photography days, managing like the time and the brain space for both business and life? Any tips, hacks, advice you can give?
Yes, and it's a lot of different things that have worked for me, but I'm going to just share them all in a big pot of advice. So first is theme days. So assigning themes to your days, like focus points to your days. So Mondays for me. So my girls go to a university model school. So I homeschool them Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. They're in school Monday, Wednesday. So Monday for me, I focus on my home and emails and like correspondence, admin stuff. Tuesdays is like I'm a mom, homeschool day, full on mom hat. Wednesday is like my work day, like my one work day a week where I focus on creating content and my podcast and really getting like some of the meat done that I need to get done. Thursday again is like my mom hat is on. I'm homeschooling, running around, we do gymnastics, piano, all those kinds of things. Friday is like our fun free day, and I just leave that with a lot of flex space for play dates or getting coffee with friends and like letting the kids play, or just staying home all day or going to a park, going to hike. Like we just try to have fun on Fridays. And then we also really prep for our rest day on Saturday. We try to treat every Saturday like a vacation and let the kids like watch TV in the morning and sleep in, and we go on a hike, and we have a double movie night every Saturday. Like my husband and I will watch a movie after the kids go to bed. But right before that, we like watch a movie with the kids. We just make it a really fun, really restful day. And then Sunday is like church and like prep for the weekday. So we do all our chores. The kids do chores. Just clean up the house, fold laundry, kind of get everything back to normal. So I think naming like the focus of every day really helps. Batching work is another thing. So that'd be the second thing, is just trying to do your work all together, like similar work, batching it together helps you stay focused. I think as moms, we really lose a lot of our ability to focus because we're constantly interrupted. And there's so many different things to take care of. So the third thing that I do is I make a game out of it, especially with my timer. I have this timer that's actually meant for kids. It's called the Time Timer. It's like a visual timer. You can get it on Amazon, but I use it for myself. So I like put it in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, Nancy, 20 minutes to clean the whole kitchen. And then I'll like set a timer for, like cleaning up a room or tidying downstairs or whatever. I do it with my emails. I have like this game I play with myself called Email Ninja. And I just set a timer for 30 minutes and see how many emails I can delete out of my inbox in 30 minutes. So yeah, just making games out of things, trying to stay focused and like batching the work together. The fourth thing that I would say is going to regular therapy. Like I truly believe this has been so healing and so helpful for me the last several years. Transitioning to motherhood is no joke. I mean, there's just a lot that your body goes through, that your mind goes through, your heart goes through. And that's been really helpful for me just to have like an outlet to kind of process all of those things with, someone to process with and just take care of my heart, my mind as well. And then lastly, like I feel so much clarity when I get enough sleep and when I exercise. And so I think as a mom, those are two of the hardest things, because there are certain times where we can't control the amount of sleep we get, like newborn phase, when your kid is sick, or if you just have a rough sleeper for a while, like it's just hard. But if you can prioritize going to bed early and getting enough sleep and just exercising, that has been such a game changer for me, just to have like clarity in my brain space. Those like basic things. So those are like 5 quick things. I think like theme days, batching your work, making timer games out of things, going to therapy, taking care of yourself mentally and like in your heart, and then also just physically, like exercise and sleep. Those would be like my biggest game changers.
I love those. That's amazing. Can you also talk to me about maternity leave as an entrepreneur? I'm starting to think about this. I'm like, how am I going to do that?
Yes. It is a scary thing to think about and a good thing to think about ahead of time. I'm really passionate about this. I love talking about this because a friend of mine told me like minimum of 4 months. If you can, take off a minimum of 4 months. And I just thought, that sounds so extreme. Like that sounds so long. I think I'll bounce back fine. I don't need to take off a third of a year. And that is some of the best advice that I received. And I remember getting to the end of the 4 months and being like, oh, wow. Oh, I had no idea. And like, I really needed that. And I even could take a little bit more. So my first baby, I took 4 months off. Oh, and this is another piece of advice is like, if you can set up like an email responder that's like, and if you have a team or if you have someone working with you, you can let them you can train them to run your inbox for you. I highly recommend doing that. But I had this going away message. It was so extreme. Not a going away message, autoresponder on my emails that was like, hey, I'm on maternity leave. I'm going to probably delete this email. So if you really need me, email me back in 4 months. It was like all emails that are coming in, unless you're a client, because at the time I still had my wedding photography business. Unless you're inquiring about a wedding or a session, this email is going to be deleted. So email me back again in 4 months. I mean, that was so extreme, but it really gave me such peace of mind to just know. And did I actually delete them? Like, no, I had someone looking in my inbox, reading everything. They would pass along things that are important to me. But it gave me the peace of mind to be like, you know what? If there's something that is that urgent or important, like they'll contact me again. It really is fine for me. But emails are just stressful and you feel the need to like be in your inbox. And you're like, you don't want to be in your inbox when you have a little baby. Like you just don't. Your mind is in a completely different space. So I did like an extensive, I think I have a whole podcast episode on how to prepare for maternity leave. I did a very extensive prep work to it. I did blog posts on like what my plan was, how I was going to go about it. And that was the best prep work I ever did. And it also showed me that I can do the same thing now. I don't even need a maternity leave, but I can take a sabbatical. I can plan ahead and take like really big chunks of work off a year and it not really affect things very much. And that's pretty exciting. So really I would say minimum of 4 months if you're considering it, and try to be as hardcore about protecting that time as you possibly can. Delegate everything out, prep stuff ahead of time. And when you have your baby, just be with your baby.
Love that.
My last maternity leave was like 6 months or like 8 months. I was like, no, I want as much time with this baby as possible. It like continued to grow with every baby. Sorry, what were you going to say?
That's funny. I will link that podcast episode in the show notes in case anyone's interested. I think they would be. Can you also say, did you have any contact with your team in that time? Or was it like, I am fully unplugged, or how did that go?
Yes. I told them to contact Will if there was a pressing issue. And he was kind of the in-between person about it, especially if there's like something that was significant that needed like my leadership in. But we had 1 month meetings. So once a month on maternity leave, I just had my baby and they'd like come to the house and like visit with me and just tell me everything that was going on, give me an update on like weddings booked and what was happening, and like let me know if there's any issues or if they had any questions. And then if there's something that couldn't wait till that 1 month, it was like half a day once a month for the 4 months. If there's nothing that could wait, or if like more of an emergency situation, for them to reach out to Will. That was the plan.
That's good. Yeah. I like that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You also have something really fun that you do with your kids. You have something called the 5-minute method, I think it is, where you like dedicated time with each child for 5 minutes each day. And I thought this was such a genius idea. Can you share what that is?
Yes. So I learned about it in this course called Positive Parenting Solution. She calls it mind, body, soul time. She says you have to clear all distractions away. And she recommends like 10 minutes, but I have 4 kids. So I'm like, 5 minutes will do for us to make this happen. I think the more kids you have, it's just hard to do this. But I'm like, okay, so my kids' names are Millie, Lyndon, Beaufort, and Benji. We call it like Mama Millie time, or Mama Lyndon time, or Mama Beaufort time, Mama Benji time. And the idea is that nobody interrupts. I put my phone away and the kid gets to choose something to do for 5 or 10 minutes. If I have more time just with mom, it's just our special time. And they get to choose and I go along with whatever they say. There are a couple of rules around it. We don't watch TV during that time. That's not really like quality time. but we can like play games or play pretend or have a tea party or, play Ninja Turtles or, whatever the kid wants. And it's just a really sweet way to kind of fill up their attention bucket, because if you don't fill that up in positive ways, a lot of times they'll try to get your attention in negative ways. And so I found that if you do that consistently, I do feel like their behavior is better, because they feel like they're getting the attention in like a positive way versus a negative way. Am I perfect about doing this? Absolutely not. I honestly, during the school year, it's very, very difficult to get it in, but especially when we have like summer break or other breaks, trying to have that time with each kid has been really beneficial. And it's fun for me. It feels like I don't feel as bad if I'm like, okay, guys, go play. I have to go do this, or watch this show for 30 minutes. I've got to do emails, or, I don't feel bad because I'm like, I've spent time with you today, but if I'm just like busy all the time telling them to go do stuff all the time, I'm never spending quality time with them. That's when the mom guilt can kind of creep in and you're like, oh, I have to do all this stuff. I just feel bad. I haven't like spent time with them. But if you do the simple thing, doesn't take a lot of time, it really is like so sweet and so good for your relationship. Like the benefits are great.
Love that. Okay, amazing. Lastly, let's talk about social media. You are kind of present on social media, kind of not. There's times that you weren't on it at all, other times where you did it like 1 week of a month. Can you talk about why did you make those decisions, and sort of how does it affect your business or not? And why did you feel like it was necessary to kind of create more boundaries around it?
Yeah. So, social media, just love-hate relationship with social media. I have grown just kind of like not really meaning to my Instagram following, and over the years, especially with kids, I feel like it gets kind of tricky, like knowing how much do I invest in this? Do I like this? How much should I post about my kids on this? There's a lot of like ethical questions that go into it. There's a lot of, like just the question of, do I enjoy this? What are the feelings I get when I go on social media? And for a while, it was really fun and really inspiring. And as a photographer, Instagram especially is like such a visual platform. It's just really like, I love this. This is so fun. And then as it continued to grow and ads became a thing and more people were on there, it's just like, it's just started to feel heavy with kids. So I've tried a lot of things. I have not completely pulled back from social media. I haven't like deleted my account or been like gone from it. But I have taken significant breaks. So I'll kind of divide it into two answers. First is like, I try different rhythms with it. So for a while, I called it Instagram Tuesdays, where I would only show up on Instagram on Tuesday, once a week, 4 days out of a month. That was it. Then I tried taking, 3 weeks off and 1 week on every week. So I was just on social media like 1 week a month. Or maybe I would take 1 week off every month. I don't know. I think I did both actually. I think I did a season where I was like only on Instagram for a week, and then I was on Instagram for 3 weeks, and then I would take a week off. I've just tried different things because I'm like, here's what's not working: being on this platform 100% of my time. That's what's not working, because it detracts from my mental health, from my joy. Sure, some reels will make me laugh every once in a while, but like, is it worth the time I'm spending on the app? No. So I feel like I've tried a lot of different things. There have been significant breaks. Earlier this year, I took 3 months off while I did my contentment challenge. I also did like a social media fast, and that was so great. When I had my 4th baby and I took that 6 months of maternity leave, I also took those 6 months off of social media completely. And that was the best decision I ever made. I loved just soaking in that time with him away from social media and the pressure of like posting about it. So I don't know where I land moving forward, Paige. I feel like I'm going to try something new again, because I feel like right now it's not working again. The app keeps changing. I keep changing. I think the healthy thing is just to keep evaluating your relationship with it and being like, hey, do I need to leave this completely? What boundaries do I need to place in my own life? And you can turn it any which way. I think the biggest thing though is I just don't want to be a slave to the algorithm, or like to the feeling that I have to do this to survive in business, because I just don't believe that's true. I think that our minds and our hearts are way more important than doing what we think we should do all the time.
I totally agree. Can you say, for anyone who thinks like, well, I have to be on it to be successful in business, do you think that's true?
No. But I think that just like completely pulling the plug on it and like leaving it, you absolutely can do that. But I think that you need to know, if you are in business, you have to have another plan in place, or like another, especially if that has been a mainstream of income for you, or it's been really engaging for you. I think that the best way to do it is kind of like an off ramp. Like if you want to tone it down or do something different, start building up other areas of your life, whether it's like your email list or a podcast or YouTube or, you know, blogging or whatever it is. Just constantly pointing people from social media to whatever it is where your content's going to be. Then if you want to step away or like really tone it down and just be on there like once or twice a month, tell them where they can find you for real. And kind of have that plan in place. But just choose something that brings you joy. Like, I definitely don't believe that you have to be on social media in order to have a successful business. If you build your whole business off of social media, yeah, you do have to have social media to have a successful business. So, you know, if that's your business model and that brings you, I mean, I have a friend who's an influencer. She loves it, built her whole business off that. She loves it. She thrives on it. And I'm like, you do it. Like, get after it. That's awesome. But if that is not you, just find something else that brings you joy, and you totally can do something different. Yeah,
I love that. Nancy, thank you so much. I think this conversation has been so wonderful, and I'm genuinely so thrilled for all of my audience to get to watch this, because I think that there was so many bits and pieces in this, from contentment to motherhood to maternity leave to social media, that is going to be so extremely valuable for them. So I really appreciate your thoughts and your perspectives and your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. I had so much fun. Thanks for having me.
So wonderful, right? Designing an intentional plan for your life and business so you have more room for what really matters isn't easy. But I personally think that it's so much better when we get to have chats like these with friends, which remind us of what's important. And that's actually why I created a vlog all about my annual planning and how I'm decluttering and intentionally designing my business to leave more space for life and family. Definitely watch that video next right here.